Well, hello, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, YouTube, everywhere this is going to be going or getting a clip thereof included. Welcome to the broadcast. I am Monty Anderson here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. Welcome to the show. Getting my live streams up and running everywhere. And there you go. We are there. All right. So, as the title says, when you need more sleep. What do you guys do when you need more sleep? How do you handle the sleepless nights? What do you do? What do you do? That's what today's title is, when you need more sleep. So, welcome to the show, Mr. Roy Joe Twinkle Toes Sparkle Butt Bradley Twilight Lovin' Jr. Welcome to the broadcast channel. So, when you need more sleep, what do you do? What do you do? I know some people that sleep during the day. Not going to point any names down there. I will puff me a power girl. I don't care. You can call me what you want there, Sparkle Butt. But we all know why you got the name Sparkle Butt. So, prison days for you, buddy. Prison days for you. That's where you got the name Sparkle Butt. Welcome to the show, everybody. We are going to be talking about sleepless nights. What do you do? I haven't been sleeping well the past couple nights. It's been off and on, spotty, shitty, crappy, all the way around. And, what do you do when you don't get any sleep or can't get to sleep? I know there's a lot of insomnia out there for people as well. And it's no fun because it makes you tired the rest of the entire day. Um, and then you try to lay down and grab a nap, which I don't because I just power through and work through the entire day. Most of the time, there have been a few days that I've had to just let my body crash and get that rest that it's needed and get about a 2 or 3 hour nap in the afternoon. But that's rare anymore. Not like when we were kids. You'd lay down, fall asleep, and oh, I'm refreshed. Let's go. And now it's like, oh my God, what pain, what aches me today? What? Oh, geez, I just slept wrong. My neck hurts. All that good stuff. So, whenever you don't get any sleep, what do you do? How do you handle that? How do you handle not getting enough sleep at night? Well, welcome to the show, everybody. Please like, share, and follow. And if you haven't done so already, go up here and go to my website. Not you guys on Facebook and YouTube, but down here on TikTok. You can go up here, find my website, and you can follow all the rest of my socials: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you're here on TikTok. Remember, like, share, and follow. So, I've got t shirts flying out the door. My Joker t shirt has been a huge success so far. Uh, and Chester Bennington is up next for the sales to start happening. People are already getting in on a roster spot for it, uh, for my Chester Bennington shirt. And my newest shirt, and I'm just going to show you, I don't have the Joker shirt on this morning because my pup got some mud all over it, so I've got to watch it. And much appreciated for the likes. Love that. This is the Chester Bennington shirt that's going to be up. So get yours now while you can. I mean, they'll be available for a long time. This is the American Horror shirt as well. Grab it up while you can. And then this is the Bad Habits one. I'm going to be sporting this one pretty soon for myself so that you guys can see it. And then I'm adding this one to the collection, the Last Ronin shirt as well. So I'll be adding that to the collection. There you go. I am, or are you? It's thundering over my way. No, I don't got anything here. I got no thunder. I got no lightning. I got no rain. I'm good here. So I don't know what you're hearing. Maybe one of your neighbors just sharded themselves or something. You know, it was a loud explosion in their pants. Who knows? Okay, it's me, bub. Yeah, no, I don't have any thunder or anything like that happening over this way, or that I can hear anyway. And normally I can. So, when you don't get enough sleep, what happens to you guys? Me, I get a little cranky sometimes, and it ain't pretty some days. And then I take it out on everybody. So, and that's not fun. That's not fun for anybody. Girlfriend, animals, It's not like I beat them or anything like that. It's just that I raise my voice, get angry, and I blow up a lot faster. So sleep is important in everybody's cycle and life. And I look forward to a day where I can sleep in, you know, instead of having to be woken up every 2 or 3 hours by a pig that wants to go to the bathroom or something like that. Yes, I homestead, so I have pigs in the house. They sleep in the house and they free range all day long. So they've got their own little beds. Yes, there's two of them. One is a true mini pig. He's about 28 pounds. He's about yay long and about yay tall, And then the other one's much bigger. She was supposed to be a mini pig too, but she ended up getting the genes of her dad, her coon dad, and so she's about 175 pounds. So if I had to guess. So what do you do, Mr. Roy? What do you do? I know you take a nap all day long until about 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and then you're up the rest of the night. So that's how you handle your sleep. Get you about 13 hours, after you decide you're ready to go to bed after having been up all night long. So what does everybody else do? What do you do if you don't get enough sleep? How do you handle that? Do you try to make up that sleep, or do you just power through the day? Or do you take a nap during your lunch hour? I've known many people to do that, and some people have overslept their lunch hour. So it's never any fun. But lots and lots going on here. Lots of artwork happening. Lots of 3D printing happening. Uh, just new stuff. You know, doing a kids book right now for a friend of mine who's written a kids book, and I'm doing the artwork for it. So and then you get comments like that who are just idiots. But anyway, hey man, what's up? And I did not check that EVP from the other day. I was gonna load it into my computer, but never did. So it's still sitting here. And from all those knocks and bangs we started hearing that day. So yes, I never checked it, and I will. I will check it. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Um, I work at the hospital at nights. I keep it dark and cold. That works. I mean, I keep my bedroom cold. It's about 64 degrees at any given moment of time, and like everybody, we sleep under the blanket with a fan going and all that stuff. But it's it's warming up humidity wise around this place, you know, in Arkansas, and it's the humidity is is starting to take its toll on all the equipment, where it's not getting as cold as it should. So, but I understand that, so I appreciate that, James. Thank you for that. So what else does everybody else do? But no, Casey, I did not check that EVP, and I apologize. I said I was going to, and I failed on that. I had it sitting over there for the longest time. Like I said, I was going to load it into my computer and get it all run up and sounded out so I could listen to see if there was anything cool on it. Because sometimes you can't hear it off of the playback, just like when we played back the one that I did do while we were sitting here. Um, we didn't hear anything, but there are those instances that you do run it through the computer, you play it back, and it's like, hey, I didn't hear that on the recording whenever I played it back. Those type things. So I'll get to that this week. I know this week's almost over, but I'll get to it. So, like I said, lots of new happening here. Like I said, I want to become dangerous when it comes to 3D printing because I want to print my own stuff. I want to be able to draw my own STL files, create my own STL files, and uh, and be able to print my own characters, you know, that are coming in my comic book, so that I have action figures to go with the comic book and excuse me, and other aspects in that realm that like medallions and rings and some of the elements that are going to be in the comic book that if you wanted to purchase yourself, you have that opportunity. So those are some things I'm going to be working on is learning STL file making, and I appreciate no hurry, and I understand. But there could be a hurry on me because I could be the next person on that EVP. I could be the next ghost because tomorrow's not promised to anybody. And but no, I live life. I try to live life to the fullest. I've been letting life get me down here these past few days, um, and of course, everybody's just curious, and that's why you have the paranormal investigations because people are curious about that other side. What is on that other side? Is there another side, or is there just this limbo that we all hang out in until we're, like some people would say, reincarnated? Reborn at another time, because all these past life experiences. Have you heard that your birthmark is supposedly how you died in another life? Oh, I get shadow figures all the time. What do you think is the most concrete proof of paranormal activity? Me living in a haunted house and seeing it happen all the time. I mean, I can't vouch for all the TV shows that do the whole what was that? Bump in the night. Boom. Oh, that, this, that, the other. Because I can't say that, you know, all these TV shows that are out there is something rigged up, you know. But I live my own experiences in my haunted house. I've seen um, action figures move that shouldn't be moving. I've seen figures thrown to the floor. I've seen, and yes, they're made for entertainment, understandably, and it's good entertainment. I'm not debunking it or anything like that. I'm just saying I can't vouch for it because I'm not there. I don't know if somebody's got a fishing line hooked to their foot or something. Those type things, and which we've heard before that some of the paranormal people have done hoaxes on their shows just to get better viewership. You know, but like I said, we've captured EVP here in this room, in this office. Many times I've had orbs fly into my hat. I get orbs in my library on a regular basis, just on my cameras. You know, yeah, some are just straight up BS, 100%. And you can kind of tell, when it is. But that's the only proof that I have. Some of them are, yes. There's one with the orb. I was talking about the Hellraiser puzzle box and had it in hand. I've actually moved it to the front room out of the office, which I should keep it in the office. But I was talking about it, and I was watching my camera down here while I was on TikTok. And as I'm talking about the puzzle box and Hellraiser and all that stuff, this orb flies off camera and goes just like this and straight, not into this hat, but in another hat, but landed right here in this hat and just disappears. And I shared that clip out there, And I even showed it to some paranormal groups, out there as well. And it was pretty cool. At one of the conventions that I was at, that they just happened to be at, and they were pretty fascinated with it. And if I turn on my camera to my library right now, I mean, not I can't right now because it's on my phone. I can see orbs, left and right, going through there, and you can tell a bug in a camera as opposed to an orb. There's a big difference. You get the flutter effect. Well, you don't get flutter effects in any of my stuff. And the orbs that you see in the TV shows and stuff like that, you can tell those are real. You know, because it's very difficult to. I mean, I know with CGI and AI now and all that stuff, you can fake the orbs in your videos. Uh, but I don't use any of that stuff. I don't even use the AI on my phone. Um, I don't use Chat GPT or GPT or whatever the hell it's called. I avoid all that stuff because I'm a true artist when it comes to all this. I draw my stuff by hand. You know, I don't use a tappity tap program to create artwork because I can do it from here. You and that's why I have my artwork going on shirts. You know, and that's why I have the Joker shirt, which has been selling like hotcakes, and I appreciate everybody that's bought one. You know, because that's been the biggest seller so far. Now, once I get these in print form and start wearing them on the show, more people will start getting those products as well because they're like, oh, those are cool. And once people do see the artwork on the shirt, it's actually pretty cool. When did you first notice haunted activity in your home? Was it small at first, then got more intense? No. In this house, hell no. The first night that I stayed in this house, which was nearly 3 years ago now, um, it sounded literally like somebody was trying to break down my front door. That's how, I don't know if it was mad the poltergeist activity was or just how much it wanted to be noticed. So I'm up, gun in hand, yes, or excuse me, pew pew in hand, and walking my inside of the house, turning lights on, going outside the house, with the flashlight, checking everything to see if anybody was around. Absolutely nothing. Second night, the side door that we use as the main front door because that's where the driveway is. Same thing. Sounded like somebody was trying to knock it down. And again, I'm up flipping on lights, checking the entire house, go outside, checking the entire perimeter of the area. Absolutely nothing. Since then, I have action figures that get thrown to the floor for no reason at all. Uh, that you can jump on the floor where the action figures are in my hallway over here, and absolutely nothing happens. But the figures will fall straight down, land on their base like they were just sat there. We've had action figures that the girlfriend owns in the bedroom that have been flipped literally upside down. Um, Say this little tag right here. This is one that I drew on. This is a remark that I did. The figure would get flipped upside down on top of another figure, and the card would slide in between the other figures. That can't happen in gravity and everything else because if a figure falls, it's going forward. It's not being flipped upside down and stuck back inside. And that's how we found many of her action figures on the bed or on the dresser in there. I think sometimes spirits get mad and just want attention. They do. The spirits want attention 100% because that's how it feeds their power, basically. Just like all the electronics that we use nowadays, spirits feed into that, and it gives them the power, the energy, correct? The energy to uh, make themselves known, make their presence known more, and that's what and this spirit in this house. I don't know what it is, who it is, anything like that. I don't know if it's a malevolent or peaceful, whatever. It really doesn't bother me anymore. It was just those first few nights here by myself that it was just trying to get my attention 100%. Um, And then there was not one night, and I do know I have critters in my attic, so I debunk a lot of things. But there was one night that literally there was something going on in my attic, and I beat on the ceiling. And do you feel it's malicious or just a spirit communicating the only way it can? Be right back, coffee. I'm not sure. I haven't felt scared with it because let's put it this way: I've grown up with spirits. The very first encounter I ever had as a kid was with a demon. Okay, red glowing eyes peering at me through a bathroom mirror. Um, no light sources to be able to make that 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 image that is still burned in my head today. Um, that's where my love of paranormal came from. Was seeing that demon in the bathroom mirror, and I've told the story on here before. And so from that point on, I've seen everything: shadow figures, full body apparitions, ghost figures, uh, orbs, movements, things being thrown that shouldn't be thrown, like the rocks that were on a coffee table, and a fan was going. Girlfriend went to lay down, and I was in the next room, and we had the rocks that we picked up were like kind of like crystal type rocks and things like that, and they were there on the table on the with the fan, and she heard it hit the floor. Well, she was like, "Well, okay, so one just vibrated off the table." Well, no, this thing was launched to the bedroom door from it was about 10 feet, distance from where it should have dropped, you know, and she's been touched, grabbed on the leg, by this spirit that's in the house, and like I said, it doesn't bother me anymore. Uh, and it never really bothered me. It's just that when a spirit wants attention, 100%, and so it's just like, okay, you've got your attention. I mean, we talk about you. We capture EVP sessions with you. You know we've done spirit box sessions, off the phone with the whole thing where you start asking questions and then it repeats back, or it doesn't repeat back. It brings to light new words and things like that. And I want to get more paranormal stuff for the house, to be honest, because I could do a whole session, you know, here at the house all by myself. And I've thought about doing it, but everything's kind of ramped down. We still get the occasional movement. She found another figure on the floor just the other day here in the hallway. Um, I've got a camera in here to capture any orbs or any movements or anything like that. Got one in the hallway of my office area right here that can capture any movements or things like that. You sometimes feel it's when an activity might occur, like an uneasy feeling. Something happens. Sometimes. Thanks for your service. Sorry, Trump. Well, you're welcome for that. Sometimes you can feel it because it's not so much an uneasy feeling. It's just kind of like when lightning's about to strike near you. You kind of get those hairs raised in the back of your neck. You kind of get that feeling, and so that's whenever I start feeling stuff like that. That's when I'll break out my recorder, my digital recorder right here, and start doing EVP sessions. It's just like whenever we were here. What was that, Casey? Like 2 lives ago. Um, we started hearing a bunch of knocking and stuff like that, but we'd already done one EVP session and ran it back, and nothing was on it. And so we ran another one, and I ran it for like 4 minutes or something like that. Just let it run while I was talking and doing my show. Excuse me. But you were hearing knocks happening over here to my right, and uh, so again, I've got to put that into my computer, run it through my system, and see if we captured anything. Because I do have, and I'm not sure where they are at this particular juncture, or I'd pull some up and we might, well, I can't even listen because I don't have my speakers hooked up. But I do have, quite a bit of stuff, which you can hear stuff happening after you ask the question and things like that. But you can't quite make it out what it's saying. And that's where, I wish I had some of the better EVP sessions like you see on some of these ghost paranormal shows and stuff like that, where, oh, what did you hear? Well, what did you hear? Well, I heard this. Well, that's exactly what I heard. Those type things. You know, but you can hear a conversation happening, but um, it's like I don't understand what is going on with that, or why I don't get better stuff, out there. I'm paranormal. Yes, that knocking was on your Sunday morning live. There you go. There you go. So it was the Sunday show, which would have been, yeah, that would have been 3 shows ago. That was the 15th. So there you go. And but yeah, I have, like I said, I have paranormal stuff happen all the time, you know, and I love the paranormal. I love the weird, the cryptid stuff, aliens, Bigfoots, all that good stuff. That's why my comic book is that I'm working on is related to those facts, you know. And there will be paranormal, there will be cryptids, there will be, mythological creatures, trolls, imps, pixies, fairies, all that good stuff in there. And that's what it's about. It's about bringing the stuff that you live through in certain aspects into the realm of your writing or your comics or whatever. And writing is hard. I know there's all those apps and I don't use them. All of the writing comes from right here in the head. And it's like, writing is tough because you want it to come out in a nice orderly fashion, and you want everything to be perceived in an orderly fashion. And I know that some comic book writers write this section, and then boom, you go to a different scene, and so you're writing a whole different section here, and then so on and so forth. And it's like, well, that's pretty cool. And it's just like, I don't do that. I don't work that way. Mine's a 4-issue miniseries based on one character. I haven't done a whole lot of talking about the character, per se, just because, I know how some other creators are. They'll take the idea and run with it. And so I'm keeping it pretty close to the hip and not letting out a whole bunch of stuff. But I am trying to do 3D prints of some of the stuff that's going to be in my comic book. And I just haven't got there yet because some of the prints that I've done haven't turned out the way I want them to. And I don't know, if it's the printer itself or, if it's the bed or, whatever, is going on. But much appreciated for the likes out there, Mr. Roy. You're going to have to put your thumbs in traction before you get a cramp on them again. Or make sure you drink enough water. I'm one to talk. But I drink water because I'm out in the heat on a regular basis just because um, I do homestead as well. I have chickens, I have goats, those type of things. I think many spirits are from our ancestors. I saw my grandma watching me as a kid. That's pretty cool. And it is, we do get those generational spirits. Even some of our great great grandparents, you know, stick around. I'll take one of those root beers, kind sir. Well, you know where I'm at. I've got Dr. Pepper in here for you too. Um, but yeah, no, that it's. I haven't, in my experiences, I've never had anybody that I knew, um, as far as the paranormal goes, uh, and that's you know, I know a lot of people that's what they see is like you, um, your grandma, watching you, and that's the protective side of the spirit realm. They're watching over you, you know, and that's a good thing because they can thwart off anything that is negative or bad that is possibly coming your way. You know, uh, fear spirits plague me, especially as a child, and those do, especially the paralysis demons, if you will. A lot of people have those uh, experiences, you know, where they wake up and they can't move. knowing something is there because they feel it, those type things. And I had one get on me one time, and that's no fun. A sleep paralysis demon is no fun whatsoever. I've never had it happen to me, but I've heard other stories, and like you said, it's happened to you before, and it's no fun. It's not something to play around with either. It's just like we were talking about the Ouija board and the seances and things like that. If you don't understand it, don't mess with it. Don't open that door that you can't close. And I'm not saying you, Casey. I'm just saying in general when it comes to playing with the occult side of the paranormal. So it loved to torment you, and it was so high in vibration. Yeah, and I'm sorry that that happened to you. You know, because it's like I said, it's no fun to have to be tormented. On a regular basis. You know, and like I said, all the bumps and sounds that go on here, I can debunk some of them. But then there's a ton of them that I can't debunk just because I know it's not animal. I know it's not, the raccoons in the attic and things of that nature. So, um, yes, I do have a spot in my attic that I've got to fix, but I've got to get the raccoons out of here first so that I can fix it. And, we've tried trapping up there before, and we ended up killing one of the possums, unfortunately. So, and that's that's a good thing to do is to have those memories so that if it happens again later on. But I'm glad you're safe now. And there are protective spells and crystals and things like that you can bring into your home to protect yourself as well. If if you want to do that type of thing. Now I've got crystals in my office and it hasn't done anything because, you know, I'm not putting them around strategic areas of the house to be like, hey, you guys are not welcome. No, I want the activity. I mean, that's just me. I don't. People are like, why would you want the activity? It's like because it gives a talking point in the house, you know. Because again, I'm not scared of what's going on here, what I see, you know, because I've been seeing it like you ever since I was a kid, and so I embrace it. Bring it on. Give me some more. Throw something across the room like right now. Those type of things. I I get in trouble, from the girlfriend because I provoke, and I know I shouldn't provoke, but I want their reaction. You know, I want those knocks. I want that thing to be thrown. I want you know punch me in the arm, pull my shirt, scratch me, whatever. You know, I want that proof. And the orbs are good enough proof. I haven't been able to catch any movement on cameras yet, but one of these days I will. You know, and we might even get this pin thrown across the room. Something like that, or thrown right at me, or whatever. You know, bring it on. So, but that's just me. And I know a lot of people are like, well, don't do that type of stuff. Don't do that. It's just like, why? Just imagine one day we will have all the answers to these things. Yes, we will. You know, and I'm sure we won't even ask those answers when we get to the other side, because at that point in time, does it really matter? Is it going to matter once we make it to the other side? Whatever other side is for anybody. You know, and because there's so many people that have the heaven hell concept. You've got the purgatory concept. You've got the what are some of the other ones? Reincarnation. You've got as soon as you die, you're reincarnated as something else or someone else. Uh, you've got the whole spirit realm. You got Nirvana. I mean, you got Valhalla. you know, so you got tons of different avenues that anyone can venture into. But which one is real? You know, Like they say, all the people that have passed on and then come back, being revived. I saw heaven. I saw my parents waiting for me. I saw, you know, people I hadn't seen in years. And then you got the people who are like, well, that's not real. That's just sparks of memory in your head, you know. So, everybody has their final destination spot, if you will, you know, and which is going to be true. Are we going to go see Jesus and God? Those type things. But who knows? Who knows? Because what if paranormal is the next step? What if that is where we end up until we can be released into the light somewhere? Which some people say the light is um, being reborn. As a baby, it's the light in your eyes for the first time. You know, I have a hard time embracing hell. Well, if you believe in heaven, you have to believe in hell at the same time. You know, and just because, I mean, that's what they say. And yeah, I get it. It's what kind of, I mean, some people say hell is here on earth right now. And this is hell that we're living through. But you got the other people who are like, no, it's going to be fire and brimstone, and never getting your wishes fulfilled, and everything is out of reach, and everything that you really want, and then you're always looking up and seeing, you know, through the gates of heaven as what it could have been for you, those type things. So there's that to think about. If you can't sleep at night already, but no, I mean and it's to each their own. It's what you believe is going to happen is what's best for you. You know, I can't tell you that you have to believe in God. I can't tell you have to believe in the devil. I can't tell you that you have to believe in the paranormal. I can't tell you that that the sky is blue. I can't tell you that the grass is green. You have to live it for yourself. It's whatever truth is for you. If it's even if it's wrong, it's your truth. You know, I cannot be like, no, you drove here in your car, but you don't think it's a car. You think it's a whatever. I can't be like, no, that's not reality. You know, folks are on complete different channels, Casey. Um, and it happens all the time. You know, and, but it's just like, um, it's just like, I don't even know what I was going to say. I know what we're talking about, but I just can't think of what I was going to say. I have a buddy. Well, I can't call him a buddy. He's an acquaintance now. Grew up with him in high school. Their family was the worst as far as bullies went. Um, and now he's this biggest holier than thou holy roller that I've ever seen in my life. And 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 it's his way or the highway when it comes to religion, you know. And he one of the things he was talking about is meet your new preacher because apparently Jelly Roll is, I don't know, becoming an ordained minister or something. I don't know. And he's got an old picture of him at a younger age with his parents, where everybody's giving the bird to the person taking the picture. Okay, the mom, the dad, him. He's got two up. Actually, I think everybody's got two up in the pictures. And and he's talking about, I can't believe this is your next preacher, and you guys follow this, and yada yada yada. And I put in there, can a person change from their past? judge not least, or judge not lest you be judged. I mean, it makes no sense to me that people cannot throw away people's past, because the past is what defines them today. If you look at my past, it is not who I am today. You know, yeah, exactly. Nothing worse than bigotry, and that's what you see, in a lot of people. You know, they live this way, but they have this way as well. But yet this person's wrong, and their past is who they are today. But so many people change from their past, and so many people turn away from who they used to be. But people still are like, well, I remember you when, and it's just like, well, that's not who I am now. You know, that's why I did a whole new change to my name, to my whole business. You know, when I point my fingers, 3 point back. You're right, at me. I want mercy and grace for me and all. Exactly. I mean, if we could live in a kind world and um, be free of condemnation, be free of negativity, be free of bigotry, be free of all kinds of different things, how much happier would the world be? Would we be having these shootings? Would we be having these riots? Would we be having, so on and so forth? And it's just like it's a pretty easy concept. Be kind. Be kind. You know, and and we forget that on a regular daily basis, and it makes things difficult. You know, and it makes things difficult in ourselves, in our relationships, and things of that nature. Yes, use your heart, and or like the old song, listen to your heart. It's calling for you. I won't sing anymore. I might. Who knows? You never know. Who knows what's going to happen here? But but yeah, and it's just crazy to me. You know, it is a good song, and it's just crazy to me that you can't be kinder to people. It's just like it's not that cashier's fault for something going wrong with the computer or whatever. It's not that stocking person's fault that they don't have the item in stock. You know, but yet you see so many people get so angry, with the people of the store that have no control over what's being brought into the store and put on the shelves and things like that. But yet you're going to take it out on them because you're so much holier and so much better of a person than they are because you don't work at the grocery store, you know. And it, when I worked there at the store at Walmart, you saw it all the time. You got people griped out on a regular basis for no reason, you know. Customers would gripe out people just because, you know. And it's just like you just wanted to punch them in the face, 100%, you know. But you couldn't do that, not without losing your job. And so you have to play the kind card. They have to. The associate has to play nice, even though they don't want to. And and it's just crazy all the stuff that people get away with now. That in my generation, your generation, if we would have tried to get away with that, we would have done got our butt stomped. You know, use a feather, not a sledgehammer. There you go. Because back in our day, which some of you on here right now don't know about the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you know, and if you tried this shit today that is being pulled by the kids of today, you would have got your ass beat once you got home. Even probably even before you would have left the house. You know, it's just like some of the parents that I see on TikTok. Some of the videos where the kids are making a TikTok video and it's some dance or whatever, and the parent comes in and sees it and they grab up that phone and start beating that ass. That's what needs to happen. Exactly. People now wouldn't live. You're right. They wouldn't. They wouldn't know how to survive on the streets. Let my house go. I'll be fine out there on the streets. You know, I won't be on a street corner, begging for money or anything like that. But uh, I'm not going to starve. I'm not going to, go without things. You know, one of my cats is being annoying right now. Sounds like the mother cat. She wants outside, but she's going to have to wait. So, but no. Yeah, this generation would not survive. Yeah, and I get that. And, I'm still working, but it's just different work. It's my work. It's illustrations and artwork. It's homesteading. It's all that good stuff, and it's fun stuff, you know. And I like it. I enjoy it, and it keeps me busy. It keeps me young, especially when it comes to being outside building and working on the chicken coop and things of that nature. And then of course mowing the lawn, cutting firewood for this season. I've got a new platform built that I've got to start cutting firewood to get stacked over there so that it can be in the dry for next year. I mean, most of it's in the dry right now, but um, and I could use it if I really wanted to for this upcoming winter season. But I still need to get it all split up, just like sitting right outside my window right here is all the logs waiting to be put into the fireplace. When this cold weather hits, whenever it's going to hit, it could be January before the cold weather hits this year with the way everything's been going. I mean, we've had the most rainfall we've had in a long time, and I think there's a little bit more expected for today. Maybe I think it might be over. I mean, it could be wrong. But then the very next weekend, come Thursday through Sunday, I think we've got more rain in the forecast. And so, yeah, it's just been a wet time. And it makes it very difficult to work on a chicken coop and get it up and running whenever you're having to deal with constant rain. And so, but yeah, but back to the t-shirts. T-shirts are selling well. The Joker shirt has been a big hit so far, and I would be wearing it today, but the dog, my puppy, ended up getting mud on it, splashed mud all over me, and nope, I hadn't heard about Jimmy Swaggart. Well, good vibes to him, prayers going up to him. I know what heart attacks are like. I've had two myself, so they're no fun. I mean, I can't say they were anything like a lot of people have said, because a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, it was the worst pain I ever felt in my life." Well, I unfortunately didn't have that, or fortunately didn't have that, whichever way you want to put it. Unfortunate, fortunate. My first one, I was awakened at 4 o'clock in the morning, felt like somebody had been laying on my chest and and arms all night long. Everything was just heavy. It wasn't any pain. It was just hard to breathe. And then the second one, I was walking around Walmart and I just lost all energy. I had absolutely no energy, and I was trying to find a color that was similar to what I looked like. I don't see anything that's that color. I had no color in my face. All the blood rushed out of my face, and so I was like this ashen white, look, and so I didn't have that sharp pain, that massive pain that everybody talks about, the left arm thing and all that stuff, and which is a good thing, but on the same time, light. Yeah, no, it was like a cream color is what I looked like. You know, kind of like this coloring right here, where the light is shining on me. You know, where it's a little bit creamier looking right there. That's what my whole face looked like. I had no color, no, I was not flush or anything. It was just all this colorization all over. You and so it was just like, well, something's not right here. But again, I had no energy the energy just flowed out of my body, you know. And that was my second heart attack. And but no, survived them both and still going strong. And it's Jimmy Swaggart. He can bounce back. I mean, at his age, he unfortunately might not, but there is that possibility that he lives through it all. You know, and not wishing ill will against him or anything like that, but he's lived a good life. Just like my grandpa. I didn't want him to pass away, but he was 90 years old, and he ended up passing away of old age. You know, and he lived a good long life. 90 years. That's nothing to shake a stick at. My great grandmother was 95 when she passed away, and I guarantee she could have lived to be over 100 years old if um, she hadn't had a stroke in 92 at 92 years of age, and then she lived 3 years after that. So she was 95 when she died, but he is in critical condition. Well, then I guess we'll say a little prayer for him, send the good vibes his way. Well, that's a good long life, and that's the issue that I have in my family. We have longevity into the 90s, close to 100 years old. You're 106 right there. Not you personally, but your ancestor. Um, or our family gets cut down in a tragic accident. There is no in between. There is no happy medium, anything like that. It's either longevity to old and you die. I feel it in my neck. And or you die in a tragic accident. You know, um, one of my grandmothers on my dad's side was killed by her brother. She probably would have lived to be able to be about 100 years old too, but he neglected her to the point where she got bed sores, and they got infected, sepsis, all that stuff. She ended up dying of that. My sister was killed by a drunk driver. My son was killed on an ATV accident. My grandpa lived to 90 years old, so old age. My grandmother died in 2006. She was about 80 something years old, so old age. Um, let's see, my great grandmother 95, and most of my other relatives have lived to be in their 80s or 90s. You know, now I haven't. I've looked at some of my older ancestors, but I haven't done any dates. To see, if I've got anybody that's lived 106 years old or anything like that. But I'm sure if I go back and look at my ancestry tree, I might be able to find some that lived, to be 100 or more. But I just haven't looked at their dates of when they were born and when they died. So my close relative died young, and that does happen. Like my stepdad was a twin, but his twin died at birth. So there's that. So you do have those stories too, and it is tragic. That you do have siblings that die young and things like that. Well, you're still young, so I'm 53. I'll be 54 this year. So you know we're both still young. Got lots of life left to go. Okay, folks, I'm gonna have to go again. I hear the animals moving around, but I appreciate each and everybody being here. And as I like to say, as I leave you guys, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.